Football Show, and of course it's Friday, it's lunchtime, which means it's my weekly catch-up with Mr. James Marshment from TeamTalk, discussing all the latest Leeds United transfer news. I hope you are all doing well, and I hope you all have a fab weekend. Before we chat to James, please smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, and of course hit that notification bell. Let me remind you as well, everything we discussed today, TeamTalk will have done an article on them. The links to all them articles are in the description. So go on over, check them articles. I'll keep you up to date with all the latest transfer news, not just at Leeds United, but concerning all of football, really, mainly Premier League. So that's TeamTalk. And of course, one of the editors of TeamTalk is James Marshment. James, how you doing, mate? All right?
I'm good, Joe. How are you?
Yeah, good. To be honest, mate, my partner's got COVID, and I'm like half dying, but I haven't got COVID. It's weird. I don't know. I'm like, I'm under the weather, pal. I'm under the weather, let's say.
Yeah, that. Keep testing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. What about yourself? What have you been up to? Obviously, last week I was at a wedding in Liverpool with loads of Everton fans, so I got to speak about Frank Lampard quite a lot. But what have you been up to?
Yeah, this and that. Keeping busy with work. I've had a really nice bike ride in the sunshine this morning. Clocked up 28 miles, so feeling good.
Oh, not bad. 28 miles as though it's nothing.
Not bad.
Fair play.
No, it's not bad at all. That's hardcore for me. That's all good.
Good. So I thought we would start today. I know this is probably going to do everyone's head in, because I know it's doing James's head in, and it's doing my head in. It's probably doing Raphinha's head in. It's doing Barcelona's head in, Leeds' head in. The only person whose head's probably not done in with it is Deco, to be honest. But we're going to talk about the Raphinha saga, and it looks like it could be coming to a close, James. Obviously, Leeds United had a successful pre-season game last night against Blackpool. We won 4-0. Jesse Marsh was, of course, then asked about Raphinha. Raphinha, contrary to reports, had turned up to training. There was a lot of fake news out there saying he's refused to train. People were asking me. I didn't ever think he would do that. He doesn't seem the type, to be fair. But yeah, Raphinha had trained and had showed a good attitude, said Marsh. They did have an honest chat about where his future lies. And he said at the time last night that he wasn't sure whether or not the winger would be on the plane on Sunday to Australia. He did say that Raphinha felt an urgency to find a resolution to his future. There's been a lot of talk amongst Leeds fans that maybe he potentially stays, and we line up with 4-2-3-1, and we've got Sinisterra and Raphinha. But there's been some breaking news brought by Ben Jacobs today, just before we came live, pretty well-connected journalist, who said that Barcelona have now made an offer that matches Chelsea's. The same amount, 60 to 65. The only difference is the base fee that they're willing to pay is less, but the total package in total is the same, whether or not that's in installments or add-ons. But ultimately, Leeds will recoup 60 to 65 million. It's not come out yet whether or not Leeds have accepted that proposal, because they have been in advanced talks for the past 24 hours. Nothing accepted yet, but Ben Jacobs did say he expects a fast resolution because Leeds are pushing it. I think Leeds want to get some more bodies in the door, and of course they want it resolved before we fly out to Australia on Sunday. Now, what he did also add to that, regardless of what happens, he said Raphinha will not remain at Leeds United beyond this window. So if we can't come to an agreement with Barcelona, it looks like he will be going to Chelsea. So for anyone who thought that he might be sticking around, that's come out and said that's not going to happen. He will move in this window, which I've come to terms with. I think we all have them. We all want a quick resolution, but all that information I've just given you there, James, what are your thoughts on the old Raphinha saga and the latest developments?
Well, first of all, we need a line drawing under this, don't we? It's dragged on for not just the entire summer window, but you're talking whilst we're embroiled in a relegation zone, so relegation battle. So it's like hung over our heads for so many months now. And, his mind, he was focused on the survival mission, which was great. And he played his part, and especially at that last game at Brentford. But since that game, his mind has been on Barcelona. So much so that he's rejected Arsenal. He's had not really any interest in Chelsea either. So we really need this saga drawing to a close. The good news is, from a Leeds United point of view, is that Victor Orta, Andrea Radrizzani and Angus Kinnear, they've stood by their guns. They've said, look, we're not going to roll over for you, Barcelona. We're not going to just accept the first offer that comes our way. Chelsea coming onto the scene definitely helped in that regard. They were really sort of quite decisive, really. They very quickly said, right, so you want this much, we'll give you this much. And that gave Barcelona a bit of a problem. But at the same time, it really helped Leeds United out as well. So from their point of view, you know, they've done a good job in standing by what their valuation is for Raphinha. And ultimately, it sounds like we're going to get it. So good news all around.
Yeah, it is in that respect. We are going to, he will move on. For those in the chat that keep saying to me, no, it's Barcelona or he stays at Leeds, that isn't going to happen. Like, the people that are saying this are very well connected. So I think, you know, I'll safely say that he won't be a Leeds United player come the end of this window. We said a couple of weeks back, James, when we did this, by hook or by crook, we believed that Barcelona would get this deal done. Now that they're actually willing to meet the demands, okay, it might not be an upfront payment, but do you envisage it happening? I believe as well, like, they want to sign Lewandowski, Bayern want 52 million. Apparently, they still owe Frankie de Jong 17 million. It's still a bit of a car crash, so there's no, you know, 100% he'll go there. But do you think he will be at Barca, or do you think it's Chelsea at this point?
No. I think he'll 100% end up at Barcelona. I've said that all summer long. When they set their mind on getting a player, by hook or by crook, they will get there. And I know they've got 800 million euros worth of debt, which is just staggering. And I did read a funny comment saying who's running that club, Peter Ridsdale, which made me chuckle. But look, they're in a massive financial mess, but they've got ways of releasing equity by sort of media sales, like the sell-off percentage of the television rights, that kind of thing, a percentage of their merchandising rights. So they will find a way to generate the cash that they need for those transfers. Frankie de Jong, and I know Gerard Piqué as well, he's also owed a fat wedge of cash from Barcelona, but I think they're going to be waiting quite a long time, to be honest, because Barcelona's priorities are getting that money ready and using it to strengthen their team. So Lewandowski through the door and Raphinha through the door. But the caution for me, from a Leeds point of view, is, yes, we want a quick resolution to this because, quite frankly, we've invested the money elsewhere and we still plan to invest further money elsewhere. So the caution for me is that Leeds United, yes, we've stood to our guns so far, but let's not undersell ourselves at the last minute. If this Barcelona offer is, say, only 30 or 40 million down payment, we've got to be careful. And I think, again, I know they want a resolution before Sunday and the trip to Australia, but it doesn't matter. To me, that deadline does not matter. The Leeds squad can fly out to Australia. Raphinha can stay behind at Thorpe Arch and train by himself until a resolution's found. And, you know, his agent ain't going to Australia. He'll be working round the clock to get this deal done. And Victor as well, you know, he's got a mobile phone. He can still do the negotiations wherever he is. So, you know, we don't need to get it done by Sunday, but we do need a quick resolution at the same time. So, you know, let's just stand by our guns that bit longer. I think we'll find a way to get the money, but what we do need from Barcelona is more guarantee of cash up front, because there's been a few cautionary tales sort of in the German media about, Barcelona are a joke club that won't exist in 2 or 3 years' time.
I've seen that.
That's far-fetched. They will find a way. They're sort of underwritten a little bit by the Spanish government, so they will ultimately find a way to survive. And Barcelona as a club will always be in existence and will always be a force to be reckoned with.
For sure.
So Leeds United, they just need to make sure they're getting a decent wedge of cash up front. And I'd be sort of thinking to myself, if I was Radrizzani or Victor Orta, I'd be thinking, I want to see 50 million of that up front. And never mind these installments. Just show us the money now, and then we can do business. And let's make the rest up in incentives, you know. Who knows? It can be like La Liga title win. It could be a Champions League final. There's always these sort of add-ons depending on player appearances, his performance, that sort of thing. So that to me is secondary. You just got to get the base fee right. So if we can get maybe 50, 55 million down and then the rest in installments, then, you know, go for it. Let's get a done deal. But at the same time, don't sell ourselves short.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we need to ensure we don't do. Like, I look at someone like Daniel Levy, for example, at Spurs. And I know he gets a lot of stick and they are spending money this time around, but in terms of a negotiator, he's the man you want in your corner, isn't he? Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. He's the man, yeah.
Yeah, you can be sure that you'd be getting all the money up front for Raphinha if he was doing the deals, for sure. So, yeah, we both expect Raphinha to move on, and it looks like it will. I think Ben Jacobs said the next 24 to 48 hours we'll see some real movement there. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that one. But I think we all just want it to come to a close now, for sure. Almost a carbon copy situation, James, is the CDK, the Charles de Ketelaere move, because much like Raphinha, he wants AC Milan, like Raphinha wants Barca. We want him. We've got the money. By all accounts, we're ready to break the bank. You know, you're talking our highest transfer fee paid for a player. It'll be the Jupiler League's highest transfer fee ever received for a player as well. So we're talking big money. I've read there's a number of different fees, but around about 32 million. We want a striker. Marsh said yesterday after the Blackpool game, we are actively hunting a striker. He seems to be the one we want. Fabrizio Romano has just tweeted, literally just a second ago, saying AC Milan are pushing for the Charles de Ketelaere deal. Talks progressing on both player and club size. Charles wants Milan as priority over Premier League clubs. But there is a situation where Milan might not have the facilities to make the move happen, i.e. they might not be able to raise the necessary funds that Leeds United are willing to pay. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, no, it's Milan, they'll sort it out. But Milan aren't cash rich anymore. And we've seen with the Sven Botman deal, he wanted Milan. He's ended up at Newcastle. So there is a big possibility that we still get Charles de Ketelaere over the line. Obviously, me and you both rate him. We said as much when we seen the links. We really want him in the door. Do you see us getting him in, or do you still think AC Milan at this point are favourites?
You'd put them, AC Milan, as narrow favourites. But I do think we've still got a chance. And you're right to mention the Sven Botman thing here, because I think the Italian media have got a bit of an agenda. So you've got Gazzetta dello Sport, you've got Corriere dello Sport. They're their two main. They're like the sun and the mirror, like our equivalents of over there. And they're, I suppose you could say, they've got their favourite teams, much like the media over here have got. There seems to be a bit of the media bias towards Liverpool and Man United. You know, like it or not, they're the two biggest clubs in Britain and British football. With the Italian media, it's a similar story with AC Milan and Juventus. They're the like darlings, if you like, of the Italian media. And the Italian media want the best for their teams. So they will push the Ketelaere line strong as you like, because they want to see the best players that they can possibly get signing for their best teams. AC Milan, obviously, in the Champions League, the defending Scudetto champions next season. So they want to see them doing well. So, you know, they want to see the best players signing for them. So I think there's a bit of an agenda there. And they tried to push it as well with Sven Botman saying, oh, yeah, the player only wants Milan. He's got no interest in Newcastle. Ultimately, Newcastle had the Wonga, which is ironic since that was their shirt sponsorship for a while. Newcastle had the Wonga to go out and sign Sven Botman. Leeds have got the facilities to make the Ketelaere transfer happen. So, you know, I think there's still quite a strong chance that Leeds get the Ketelaere deal over the line, because I don't know what Milan's top margin is, but I can't see them, from all I've read and the transfer fees they're sort of willing to pay, I can't see them going any higher than 25 million, and that's with bonuses. So it's very, very similar to really the Raphinha situation. We have to see how this one plays out.
Yeah, for sure. And they are, you know, they have other targets as well. Obviously, Ziyech, they've got Origi over the line. So they're not like instead of De Ketelaere, but they have other priorities. It will be, you know, interesting to see what happens. But for me, I'm really wedded to the idea. I want to get him done. There's a lot of Leeds fans that say he doesn't want Leeds, so therefore I don't want him at my football club. But for me, you take a player regardless. Like, if it's his second option, it's his second option. If AC Milan can't afford him and he moves to the Premier League, I think, look, I know these names get banded about, but he's being called the heir to Kevin De Bruyne. You know, his numbers speak for themselves. If you can get a player of that quality for however long it is, you know, even if we do break our transfer record at 30 odd million, and you know that if he fulfills his potential, he will go for double that, you know, to a top six side or to a team in the Champions League. And I understand from a fan perspective why you would want to move to Milan. I get that, you know, but I wouldn't write him off just because he's saying, you know, the Premier League or Leeds is his second choice.
Yeah, 100%. And let's remember, he's only 21 years of age. He's still got 10 years at the top, potentially longer if he looks after himself. So, you know, Leeds could sell it by saying, look, come to Leeds, have 2 years with us, see where the club is at. You know, as a will of good gesture, we'll add a sell-on clause, a buyout clause in your contract. Yeah. Let's pitch that now at £60 million. Therefore, if you perform, you're going to get that move to the Champions League level club you are at. I understand Leeds fans don't like that because it's like, well, they're using us, that sort of thing. It's like the Raphinha situation over again. But the way I see it, it's like a means to an end. Leeds get 2 years service out of Ketelaere. He becomes an absolute worldy player for us, helps us not just survive in the Premier League, but push into the top half of the Premier League on a regular basis. You sell him for 60 million. All right, 2 years' time, you might be thinking, oh, we've undersold ourselves a little bit with 60 million. But that's the sort of incentive you've got to give the Ketelaere. And just, you know, I don't think it's a write-off for Leeds by any stretch. I think we have got a chance of getting him over the line. Yeah. I suppose the situation that the Leeds board have to weigh up is whether how long do they pursue it for? Yeah. How long do they let this one drag out for? Because meanwhile, there's potential other targets who they're letting slip. Yeah. So
what I find quite interesting as well, James, there are a lot of fans that say if you don't want to come to Leeds, just move on. We need to move on. We need to move on. But the fact that Leeds United are still in there, they wouldn't be in there if they didn't believe that something was going to come at the end of it. You know, they're not doing a West Ham who say, oh, just put it out in the media, we're after Raphinha and Calvin for 50 million in January. This isn't words. This is like we're genuinely in the hunt for this player, and we're sticking around, and you know, we're up in the bid, and we're battling with AC Milan. Now, if they didn't think that the player was like ever going to come, they wouldn't be wasting their time. There'd be no point in that, you know. So there is still a chance that we can get him done for sure, I think.
Yeah, definitely. They'll keep pushing that. Victor Orta, he's travelled out to Belgium, and he won't unnecessarily pursue a dead end on this. He will keep at it for as long as he thinks there's still a chance. Yeah. And you know, I still believe there is a chance he could end up at Leeds. So at the same time, I think we could end up seeing a very similar situation with the, you know, we're chasing Cody Gakpo. That was a name on everyone's lips. And all of a sudden, Sinisterra, like out the blue. And it's like, bang, we're getting him instead. So there's always that possibility that Leeds could pull an alternative name out the bag and, you know, a plan B, if you like. All of a sudden, it's like nailed on and done quite quickly. So the next few days we'll know a bit more on that.
I think like we've seen with the Calvin one Monday, by Thursday we had 2 new players in the door. You know, it sets off a domino effect. You know, who'd have thought it that, you know, Monday you lose, 3 in fact. Monday you lose Calvin, you then got Darko JB, Tyler Adams, who we said would be the one, by the way. We did say, James. Pat on the back. Yeah, we did. And of course, Sinisterra, which came out of nowhere. So that shows how quick it can move. So, you know, the Raphinha deal could happen in the next 48 hours, and then next week Charles de Ketelaere could be here. It genuinely moves that quick. But if Charles de Ketelaere doesn't happen, and I've tried to do some digging myself, who is that second option? Could it still be Cody Gakpo? We know Gakpo can play there. He can play across the front. We've heard Cali Mwendo linked. A guy messaged me earlier. There's a link over in Germany for a striker by the name of Kamada, I think it is. Tottenham target, who is it? Daichi Kamada, and could rival Tottenham Hotspur for him. I've not seen much on him. But who do you think that next target would be? Or is it because to be fair, none of us knew about Sinisterra, did we? And then poof, it happened.
Leeds are great at that. Leeds can, like, you know, like smoke you out with a few smoke screens, and then Bush have like pulled an absolute rabbit out of the hat. But interestingly, on our Euro Paper Talk, which just went live at 12:30, it goes live 12:30 Monday to Friday, and it's like it reviews all the different sort of what all the different like papers around Europe are saying. There was a line in there which I really liked, and it's from the Italian paper Il Mattino. Not the most reliable, but an interesting line all the same, saying Leeds are looking at signing free agent Dries Mertens. He's 35, but I mean, he's still an unreal footballer.
To be honest, that was a couple of weeks back as well. That one came up. I didn't give it the time it was worth, to be fair.
You imagine that, though. He'd be like, you know, he's still, I know he's 35, but he's still got unbelievable ability. It'd be like, he'd have the Pablo effect.
Can you imagine the wages, though, he would be on?
Yeah, astronomical. Astronomical. But if you're sort of negating a transfer fee, you know, you sort of weigh up the total cost over like maybe a 2-year contract. If he's on, say, 90k a week, something like that, and they work that out over a 2-year deal, they might think, well, we're giving the player £15 million, but, you know, we're not paying a transfer fee for him. So free agent. The other teams mentioned a Newcastle, and then the third team mentioned is he could renew with Napoli, which from what I've read about Dries Mertens in the past, he's like properly embedded into the Napoleon way of life and loves it out there. And he's been there a long time. So that's probably the likely scenario here, is that he renews with Napoli. But interesting one all the same.
It is, for sure. But it'll be interesting to see if CDK doesn't happen, who we will go for, because the fact that Jesse's saying to the media we are actively pursuing a striker, we know that's what we want. It'll be interesting to see who we do move on to. There's been some chat this week about Jack Harrison. I think, you know, we were hearing yesterday from Firpo and from a lot of sources that Jesse's going to go into the season with a 4-2-3-1. Albeit narrow at times, but I look at the wing positions. Obviously, Raphinha on his way, and I'd imagine we might see Sinisterra from the left and Harrison from the right potentially. Obviously, you've got Dan James there as well as an option to play out wide. Do you envisage a situation where Newcastle come in for Jack? Because I guess every player has his price, and we know they're after a winger. Like, they've already tabled a bid for Anthony Gordon, which got rejected, and Everton are going to sign him on a new deal. They've been linked to Marco Asensio, but we know that Newcastle do admire Jack, but don't agree with our valuation. Obviously, we don't want to sell Jack, and I do think he's undervalued, and I do really rate him, but every player has his price, and if Newcastle have got the cash, which they know they have, could you envisage a situation where they pay 30 to 35 million for Jack? And do you think Leeds would sell him at that stage?
It's possible. I mean, because like you say, money talks, but you've got to look at it from what Leeds would do with that money. We only need, in theory, 1, perhaps 2 bodies through the door now. We obviously need that striker, and that money will come from the Raphinha sale. So by selling Jack Harrison, what do we gain? Yeah, we got 30, 35 million in the bank, but we've all of a sudden got a wing option down. And I'm with you. I think Jack Harrison had a disappointing season last year. By his standards, he dipped quite a lot. But yet
11 goals, though.
But still got, 10 goals and 2 assists I've got written down. So, you know, that's him with a bad season, right?
Yeah.
But he's still contributed. I know 3 came at West Ham. He tends to be a bit of a streaky player. He'll score like 3 in 5 games, that sort of thing. But, you know, the numbers don't lie. I know his form was a bit, but you could say that about so many Leeds players last season. That all their form dipped. And I think Leeds will be a lot weaker without Jack Harrison. The problem for Leeds, and you touched on that there, is that Sinisterra will play off the left wing. Yeah. He's an inverted winger. He cuts in with his right foot, the total opposite, if you like, of what Raphinha did for us on the other side. That's obviously Jack Harrison's preferred position on the left wing. I know he played for us in the right a fair bit during the sort of championship years under Bielsa, but for me, I see Jack Harrison's best position as a left winger. If Sinisterra comes in, and he's going to probably be the number 1 pick there, that leaves Jack Harrison shunted out to the right. And that's where we've also got Somerville can play there, and that's
Yeah.
where Dan James's preferred position is as well. So all of a sudden you've got 3 players pushing for that sort of one position, and potentially that they could look at that situation and think, well, you know, maybe we could sell him and use that money to sign an unbelievable striker, a 50 million striker. I don't know. But for me, Leeds would be weaker without Jack Harrison.
Yeah, I agree with you completely, and I think Jack can do a job, you know, on the right hand side. And if you think about, like, obviously he could come in and hit a ball with his left, and Sinisterra same on the left hand side, coming in, cutting in on his right, and putting it in. So I'd imagine that's what we go to, like. And I tell you what, we'll have a quick, just slightly off topic a little bit, but a few people have mentioned it in the comments, and I just wanted to pick up on it as well, because Dan James just came to mind. We've been getting a lot of stick of lately, it seems, by certain ex-players who, for me, are not worth the salt. But anyway, we'll chat about it anyway. They're saying that Leeds United are signing a lot of unproven players, you know, no Premier League quality. What's been frustrating me, you know, we're being compared to Fulham, and, you know, when Tottenham bought 10, 11 players after Bale, and, you know, that's 10 and 11 players. We're not buying 10 and 11. We've bought 5 to 6. That's a big difference, right? That is a big difference. But a lot of these have played Champions League football. Admittedly, their leagues maybe not as, you know, well, they're not as good as the Premier League. But if we look at signings like Dan James, for example, that we spent 25 million on, he's Premier League proven, you could argue, for his time at Man United, and it hasn't really worked out. So what are your thoughts on us going out to these other markets and, you know, bringing in players that haven't played in the Premier League? Do you think it's that big of a deal?
I think it's a fair point to say you like players to have Premier League experience. I think there's nothing like the Premier League, and there's nothing that prepares you for it unless you've played in it. So I do get the argument. The thing about the Premier League is, like, every week is a rock hard game. You know, some games are just ridiculous when you're playing like Man City and Liverpool. They're like almost write-offs before a ball's kicked in a sense. Well, I hate saying that, but, you know, the strength they showed against us last year proved it. But every game, even when you're playing bottom of the league, be it Fulham, Forest, whoever, you've got a rock hard game every single week. You've got the likes of Brighton, who are established in mid-table now, Leicester. You just do not get an easy week. So in that regard, I think it's a fair point from these ex-pundits. However, we're not just signing any old players. We're signing players that Jesse Marsh knows can do a job. And I think that is the key difference here, because he's worked with Tyler Adams before. He knows what he's capable of. He's worked with Aronson before. He's worked with Christensen before. So we're getting bodies in that he knows are capable of performing, not just for him, but in the Premier League as well. And I'm pretty sure Leeds would have done a lot of due diligence on these players. And, you know, it's like the old, like Tyler Adams or Mohamed Kamara deal. Which one did they go for? They ultimately went for Tyler Adams, and we both said that. Because he's played for Jesse before, and Jesse knows what he's capable of. So I think these guys, it might take them like a few weeks to acclimatise. The pace of the Premier League is rapid. It's a very physical division, and the quality is like superbly high. It's the best league in the world. So it might take them a few weeks to adjust. But I think we've got a big enough squad to, like, now to sort of use these players and use the pre-season to get them up to speed. We've got some decent quality opposition in pre-season, particularly out in Australia. So I would hope we use that time to sort of show them what it's about, and I think they'll be pretty much ready to go when the season kicks off against Wolves. I think I'm not too concerned, to answer your question originally.
The thing is as well, James, like, for someone who to have the numbers that Sinisterra has, if you were to buy that player who was Premier League proven, he would cost you about 80 million. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, and we wouldn't be in for him. It'd be going to a top 6 side.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
tell you, a good comparison here is like Harvey Barnes, right? I think Harvey Barnes is a really good player, and he always seems to score against Leeds. But if you went to market and tried to buy Harvey Barnes, you'd be talking 50, 60 million, and his numbers are nowhere near what Sinisterra's numbers are.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's a fair point.
You've just to look at Anthony Gordon, haven't you, at 35 million, and that getting turned down. You know, we're spending 20 odd million on a guy, you know, who not prem proven, but if he replicates even a fraction of what he's done, he's doing a good job. Do you know what I mean? So
Anthony Gordon as well, by the way, he's like a very good player and he's got a lot of talent, but his numbers aren't that good.
No. This is what I'm saying. So
his numbers aren't that impressive. I think you sort of, if Newcastle are signing him for 35, 40, the buying potential really as much as anything. And that to me is a bit of a risk.
Yeah, the money we've spent, we probably could have got 2 Premier League proven players and they'd be bang average. That's the facts behind it. Whereas you can spend 17 million on a Raphinha and he comes and lights it up and now he's going for 60 to 65. So if by any chance that player is watching this, there's your answer, mate. Do your research and come back to us.
Definitely.
Yes, definitely. watch some more football outside of the Premier League, perhaps. Obviously, Jesse Marsh said we're actively searching for a striker. There's been chat in the press that Leeds United want a left-back or are interested in a left-back. I'm not too sure personally. He's on record as well, Jesse, yesterday as saying that he likes Leif Davis. There's no guarantee that he'll be on the plane. We know that Ipswich are interested in him. I believe they've put up to about $1 million up to this point, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with Leif. And we were linked to Josh Tyman from Stoke as well at 6 million. What's your thoughts on the left-back scenario, James? Do you think we will dip into the market?
My personal thoughts are absolutely. I would sign a left-back tomorrow, no hesitation. I've been on record to say I've been disappointed by Junior Firpo's performance.
Firpo Carlos last night, though. Goal
he was good. I'll give him dues. He was good, but I mean, you know, he's been working hard in pre-season as well. So, you know, maybe I've written him off too early. Let's see what this.
I think you're not the only one, mate. 95% of the fan base have.
Well, look, he for me, I saw him have like Firpo. I saw him have 3 or 4 good games last season, and the rest he was bang average, and he was always a mortgage job for a booking. So if we're in for a new left back, I will welcome it. And this Josh Tyman we've been linked with, he's a pretty good player. He's very handy. Looks after himself. 48 games last season for Stoke, and if 6 million is the fee for me, and if you're getting 1 million in for Leif Davis at the same token to sort of offset some of that cost, that to me would be a clever signing. It's not going to break the bank, and then you've got a player there capable of stepping in. And of course, we've not got Stuart Dallas till around Christmas time, so we do need a bit of cover there. That's for sure. It's probably the one position where we are exposed. If I'm honest, because
go on, mate.
Yeah, well, Firpo's not that good, and were he to pick up an injury, who plays there? Well, I genuinely don't know what we'd do. As it stands, it'd be Leif Davis. But if he departs, we've got a problem in that position with Dallas being out as well.
Well, there has been some reports over in Norway. Leo Hjelde did an interview, and he was on record as saying that Jesse said to him that they wouldn't be after a left-back, I believe, because he sees Leo as that potential left-back option. So I guess we'll see in pre-season as well whether or not he gets deployed there, and that'll give us an idea. I'm of the impression that we won't get a left-back, but look, the links happened. I don't know if that was because, you know, there were links to Leif going out, so therefore, you know, there was some stories about some coming in, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Obviously, this week as well, we confirmed them 2 deals. A deal that did happen, much to the joy of a lot of Leeds fans, was Tyler Roberts going to QPR on loan with a view to a permanent. What are your thoughts on that one, James?
Poor Tyler. Poor Tyler. You know, you can't fault his commitment, his energy. And I'll say something else as well, which doesn't get the credit he deserves. His work in the community, Tyler Roberts, is second to none. Yeah. And he got that. He was awarded the community award by Leeds United, and quite rightly so. He works tirelessly for the community, and that side of a player is often forgotten. And I know it's all about what you do on the pitch. That's what's important. So to me, he was part of our championship winning team. You know, he played his part. He's just lacks that quality necessary to be in the Premier League, and you know, but not for the want of trying. 2 goals and 3 assists over 2 seasons in the Premier League tells its own story.
Yeah,
and he was guilty of giving the ball away and sloppy passes, that kind of thing. So it wasn't through a lack of trying. But for me, a move to QPR, I think, is a great move for him.
Yeah.
Because he'll get a run of games. He'll get the faith from the manager down there. I look at that QPR squad and I can't see any player who will play ahead of him in his preferred position, which I think is like a number 10. Yeah. I think he likes just to play behind the sort of main striker. And I think he could have a very, very good season there with a manager who believes in him, with a regular run of games, gets a couple of goals to build his confidence. Honestly, I wouldn't rule out him being the Championship Player of the Year. Because because that is his level.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's a bold claim, James. I dare you to put that bet on. I wouldn't let you bet with my money anyway, put it that way.
Maybe just like 10p, but
10p. No, listen, I hope he rips it up. I do. I'd honestly, love him to do that. Yeah. I genuinely would.
Look, he's got a manager there who believes in him, and I think, he'll go there. It's a fresh start for him, and sometimes players just need that.
Yeah, sure.
And it's a loan with a view to a permanent. So I don't think we'll ever see Tyler Roberts in a Leeds shirt again. His contract's up in 2024. So, the view Leeds have got there is he goes there for a year and then makes the move permanent next year. And good luck to him, I say. Any player who played his part in us winning promotion back to the Premier League and who Bielsa rated is, he goes with my best wishes.
Yeah, agreed. Another player that could be heading out on loan. It's not quite confirmed yet, but it looks like it's going to be. Played last night is Jamie Shackleton. Jamie Shackleton looks like he's going to be joining up with his Leeds United teammate Charlie Cresswell at Millwall. So it looks like Leeds have forged a little bit of a relationship there. I believe Sunderland were in for Cresswell as well, but Millwall put up the necessary, I guess, funds. I don't know if Leeds have taken like a Liverpool approach maybe and said, look, they need to play X amount or you have to pay this. I know Liverpool are very diligent with their loan stuff. But yeah, Millwall came up with the best package for Charlie and it looks like they're going to be taking Jamie as well. Do you see a future for Jamie? I really like him, but I'm just not sure he's going to make the grade at Premier League for Leeds United. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think as well, he's a bit of a victim of the fact that he's so versatile and he's not been able to nail down. I think he sees himself as a midfielder, but he's so small on the ball. He's so small, not that robust, and he's never been first choice for us there. Obviously, he's covered at right back and he's done well whenever asked. Yeah. But again, he just lacks that quality. And the fact that we've signed Rasmus Christensen and we've got Ayling sounds like he's ahead of schedule with his recovery and might be sort of ready a few weeks into the season. So we're well covered for right back and he's not going to get into that midfield and he ain't going to play at right back either. So I think a loan move is the best solution. But I would like Leeds to sort of just do a dry loan, not with any kind of option to buy and just see how he gets on, because I think there is a player of ability there. And he, like I say, he's never once let us down when he's been on the field.
No, he'll always give you 110%, James Shackleton.
Yeah. And I like him. I want him to succeed. I do.
I think that's why a lot of Leeds fans are a little bit gutted that he hasn't quite made the grade yet, if that makes sense. Like you say, he was always on the periphery, wasn't he? But hopefully he goes to Millwall and smashes it. Cresswell the same, and it pains me to say it through gritted teeth, but hopefully Millwall do all right with them two in the sides.
Well, they've got a good manager there, Gary Rowett. He knows that division inside out, and I think Millwall were just on the periphery of the playoffs last year. I think they finished around 8th or 9th, something like that. I think with these two players on board, who have Shackleton's had the experience of the Championship before. Cresswell, we all know his ability, and he's been tearing it up for England under 21s as well. So he is ready for a long run of games, and I think with those two in their side, they will have a pretty decent chance, I would have thought.
For sure. Let's remember all the links to the stories we've just discussed are in the description as well. We've had a couple of super chats come in while we've been chatting. Thanks to everyone that's done that. Helen says this is in reference to the CDK. Thank you, Helen. If there was absolutely no chance of getting him, we would have walked away ages ago, which I think's fair point. My friend Smudge says, morning Joe, Smudge in the house. Bang up job. Cheers, mate. He said, there always will be critics and doubters. Watch and shoot. This team will gel, and we are not done yet. Just on that, mate, we know we're going to get striker. I see us getting an experienced goalkeeper towards the back end of the window when one becomes available. Do you envisage a situation where we get anyone else, or do you think it'll be striker and goalkeeper?
Yeah, striker and goalkeeper. I think that's the next mission. We said potentially a left back that might come up if the price is right for one time and potentially, but yeah, striker first and foremost. And I'm convinced whoever that will be a club record signing. You know, this is what the Raphinha cash is allocated for. We've spent the Calvin cash and a large wedge of the Raphinha cash, but there's still money in the bank to like do a club record deal for a striker. So I think that's where we'll be at. That's what we need to do.
Yeah, and the worrying thing is as well, James, I know Leeds came out and said Bamford was never due to play anyway, but he played against Stoke, he gets a goal, we're all expecting him to start, and he's broken down again. They said it's a little knock, but the worry is that all that yesterday proved to me is, and I know the press are pushing that he wasn't going to play. I don't believe it. I don't. But that's a real worry, isn't it? Because if he breaks down again, like, we're short straight away. So even if we bring in one, it still might not be enough, because you then might be looking at Joffrey or Rodrigo. And I love Joffrey, you know what I mean? But we need to manage him properly. So the fact that Bamford missed that game was a bit of a worry, wasn't it?
Yeah, massive concern.
Yeah.
His injury record last year was just woeful. I mean, I think I looked at that the other day. He played something like 560 minutes over the entire season, which, you know, do the maths, it equates to about 5 or 6 games, full 90 minutes. So it's, you know, we missed him so badly. And we just can't be in a scenario where we're asking Dan James to play up front again. It just absolutely cannot happen, because he's got no presence there. He's got no idea how to make the runs that a forward does, and he can't hold the ball up. So it's just a disaster, that. So, yeah, we need at least one, and hopefully Bamford is a precautionary thing, and he will be okay. But he, you know,
if he doesn't start on the 14th against Brisbane Roar, then we know something's really up.
Yes, I would say that's the case. I would say that's the case. And, you know, this foot issue, I think I said before on the previous show, I've had plantar fasciitis, like, in the past. I went on a city break to Madrid, and we're doing loads of walking around the city. And when I came back, it's like my heel was agony. I didn't know what it was. But I remember Bamford at the time, he described it as like standing on a plug. And that's what it feels like. But that constant pain in the sole of your foot, and you can't walk on it, let alone play football on it. And it's a real nasty one to try and heal. And you do worry. It's not really anything you can operate on either. That's the thing. It's like it heals with rest.
Yeah.
So I am concerned.
Same. As soon as he wasn't, and then the press, it was like, oh no, he was never due to play. And I was like, really? After so long off, and now he's back, we're not getting him ready? I'm not quite sure, but there you go. We'll have to wait and see. Smudge goes on to say, smart move with Cresswell and Shackleton by the club, and he hopes it will work out for the future, and then says Leeds. So thank you very much, Smudge, for your super chat. Before we finish then, mate, on the money, do we sign CDK?
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, so am I. I'm going to go with that as well, man. We were right with Tyler Adams, so hopefully we'll be right with Charles de Ketelaere. I don't think AC Milan have got the facilities for it. They'll back out, and we'll get a free run at him. My only worry is that Leicester are lurking in the background, waiting for us to have our bid accepted, and then them come in and go, we'll give you the same.
It's a funny one with Leicester, because they were the team. I'd not heard of this de Ketelaere, and then it was Leicester. We did a story back on him in sort of October, November time, saying Leicester were in for him. And I was like, I don't know who this guy is. Did a bit of research, liked what I saw. And they've been the constant name linked with him all throughout the back end of last season, through the January window, through February, March, April. And then all of a sudden Leeds came on the scene, and now Milan are on the scene too. So, yeah, I do worry. I think they're a bit of a dark horse in the pursuit. They could easily match what Leeds have done.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, isn't it?
So we'll see. But I'm confident. I think we can get him in.
Yeah, I hope so too, mate. And then we'll have to wait and see, because if it's not in, we'll soon see some links. And there, Smudge says there, look, yes, CDK, Leeds. Thank you very much, Smudge, for your support, pal. So I think that's it. We've covered all the latest transfer rumours concerning Leeds United. I'm no doubt that by next week's show, or we might not be there because I think James might be away, but we'll keep you in the loop. we'll have more to discuss. I think Monday, Tuesday, a bit like it was this week, we're going to see some real movement. Like Calvin left, I think Raphinha might get sorted, obviously, by Monday, and then we'll start to see some incomings, or a incoming in the shape of a striker. But thanks as always for watching the Leeds United Transfer Show on a Friday. Make sure you check out TeamTalk. Links in the description. Check out that way. Marshy Leeds on Twitter as well for all your latest transfer news, and we will see you in a bit.